Good morning and welcome back to the 120th. Today I'm working on perfecting the technique of black and white paper reversal. So this morning I am somewhere in the Wye Valley. I've been kind of waiting for a bit of an overcast day, but rather uncharacteristically for Britain, I've had nothing but blazing sunshine for a few days, which has been very frustrating. The reason I'm looking for a bit of an overcast day is because, of course, we've having all these kind of heavy contrast problems. So we've got the Nikon 65mm SW attached. Give us some big, wide scenes. That's one of the things I love about my wonderful Stenopaker, is that it will take a 65mm lens. I have 16 sheets loaded, each sheet holder individually marked and numbered, and today I will be taking notes, copious notes. The plan is to use 8 of the 16 sheets that I have loaded to shoot identical frames, identical exposure, no filters, no nothing, and then use those 8 sheets. I'll develop those 8 sheets first and use them to perfect a technique that is then going to work for me, that I can then use moving forwards. The next 8 sheets I will then mix things up a bit. I've got some filters, I've got some yellow filters, I've got some coloured filters, I've actually got some adapted darkroom filters that will obviously are specifically designed to work with multi-grade variable contrast VC or MG papers. Yeah, I think so. Let's do this. So I think this should be a good place to do some testing. Let's get set up. 1 second, 0.8. So let's do 8 sheets. Here we go. Right then, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to use yellow photo filter. So this is not actually a darkroom filter. I do have some darkroom filters with me. We're going to try that as well. So this is a 00 filter. It does say on the box of filters that you don't need to adjust exposure times with the yellow filters, not until you get to past like increased contrast. So we'll head into the darkroom and see what we get from it. Right then, we're out in the darkroom, ready to rock. So the first one of these I'm going to do as I did before, which is develop by inspection, second development by inspection. Long development first time, second development by inspection, and we go from there. The second sheet out of this holder I'm going to do according to a slightly different method, which is to develop to completion on both steps. Okay. Give it a little bit more. Okay. Into the developer. And this time we are going to develop by inspection. So once I think it's done, we'll pull it out. I think that's done. So that's developing by inspection. We're now going to see what happens if we develop to completion on that second stage. So I'm not going to pull it out, I'm just going to let it run. Off we go. Right then, that one out of the wash and into the developer. It's immediately come up and but we're just going to leave it in there this time and let it develop to completion. Let it finish what it wants to do. And I would say that is now completed its development. What's really interesting is that it's not massively different from the one that I pulled out early. So I think what we've learned so far is that developing to completion is absolutely fine. We'll have a look at those side by side in a bit. The next one we want is sheet number 7, and we're going to let this develop to completion. Oof. Every time. Here it comes. Okay, into the developer. So this bottom one is obviously the F16. This top one is the F4. That one at F4 is almost overexposed on the lighter areas. Right then, this is the second of the yellow filter ones. Just out of the wash. First one I did was the enlarger yellow filter. That came out completely black. And I'm starting to get an image there. And to the developer, this one looks really badly underexposed, I would say, from the early stages. I'll let it develop to completion anyway though. So dark. I would say that there is potentially less contrast in there, but fuck, look at that. Further experimentation with yellow filters and a lot more exposure may yield some interesting results, I'm not sure. So we've established a couple of things there. I think I'm settling on, at this time of year in the UK, we're looking at an ISO of just below 2. So if you take a light meter reading ISO 2, you need to give it a little bit more exposure to get it right. Definitely established that developing to completion on that second stage is better than trying to pull it out early. So there's develop to completion, and this one is yanked out early. And the yanked out early, I mean, you could say that there is less contrast in it, but it's just grey and kind of murky, isn't it? Whereas this one is clear and sharp. And so develop to completion essentially on both stages, but then using different methods to control the contrast. Now, what was really interesting, I binned one of them, but that was the other yellow filter shot that I didn't ditch. And there is an image there, but it's so wildly underexposed that you can barely see it. So, I need to go and do it again. I think we've established a development ritual, a development method that I'm now happy with. I need to go and test my findings with rating at ISO 2, and I also need to work out how to use yellow filters and whether they're going to work. So let's head out again. Right, then we're out again with the Stenopeka. The Stenopeka is under there. You'll have to trust me on that one. It is a filthy wet day. Back to our standard British weather again after a couple of cold days and a bit of flooding. Now we're back to drizzle. But I've come up to St Arolda's Church. This morning I'm going to test the general kind of ISO sensitivity when we're aiming for just below 2. So I'm going to meter at 2, ISO 2, and then give it an extra bit. Then we're going to focus on the yellow filter. So I'm going to put the yellow filter on. I'm going to take it through a range of exposures to work out, first of all, what the difference is between the no yellow filter and yellow filter, and therefore how to meter it. And then hopefully one of those exposures will be right and we'll get a sense of the difference in contrast, whether it's actually doing us any good. Good news, of course, is that it's chucking down with rain, which means that the light is flat as a pancake. So that's good. All right, I'm not going to film much of this because I need my hands to hold an umbrella and to generally try and avoid getting everything soaked. So let's just get on with it, bang out 10 sheets or so, and I'll see you in the darkroom. All right. Right, then we're back out in the darkroom. Chemicals are pretty much ready, just warming up the last of them there. Got my sheets. I have high hopes from this little bundle. If this batch turns out how the last batch turned out, I'm going to be disappointed. So here's hoping. Let's see how it goes. Okay, into the developer. Come watch with me as we see what we achieved. Okay. That development seems to be slowing, which is good. These look good. Still contrasty, but certainly some of my finest efforts to date. Now, they were the first two, so they were the ones that there was nothing on them, there was no filter, there was nothing out of the ordinary. The filters are coming up next. Right, second batch ready to come out. So remember, this is yellow filter, one of them at the same exposure as the other ones we just saw, and the other one for a second longer. So this is kind of what I saw the other day, that the yellow filter really saps it of so much light. Now this has come out better than the other day. We actually see an image. So the next thing I did was I doubled the exposure again, which means that we're doubled twice on top of the normal exposure. Yeah, 4 seconds, 6 seconds. I'm pretty blown away that it robs so much light. That's crazy. Let's tidy those up and get on with the next ones. I am hopeful for these ones because the last two look like they could be good. So here we go. Oh, these look like they might be too dark as well. Blimey. So, what I actually should have done, potentially, you know, tripled. It's wild that that's having such an effect. So that bottom one, the lighter one of the two there, was 6 seconds. It was 1 second with no filter, but I reckon that probably needed, what, 10 seconds maybe? So how about that? That is one stop, 2 stops, 3 stops, so 4 stops basically. And the exciting thing is that I think it really does affect the contrast. If you look at that, we've got a definite kind of flatter image there. Right, these next two are the yellow filter plus graduated ND. But because of what we now know about the yellow filters, these will be underexposed. So we'll do it anyway. I'll show you how they look. But I'm pretty sure these are going to be really dark. Yeah, they are going to be dark. You can see how the graduated ND made a big difference to the sky. This is kind of verging on a nice image actually. So that is definitely a combo which is going to work really well. I just need to get the exposure times right. I was hoping to get this video out to you tomorrow, but I now want to go and get this right. Get an image that I'm like super happy with before I release this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out again tomorrow. I'll load some more sheets and let's nail this. Right then, it's 24 hours later and we're faced with a slightly different day. Yeah, not raining anymore. It's freaking sunny. I have come over to Chepstow and we're going to be taking some photos of the castle out there. I've already put on the 210 and I've got the filter ring loaded. I'm going to focus specifically today on yellow filters, graduated filters, and we'll see if we can get some awesome stuff with that. We'll meter for the castle here, which means we'll probably end up with a fair bit blown out down at the bottom. A bit more sky. At 5.6 on the castle, we've got half a second at ISO 1, quarter of a second on there, and a 20th of a second on the sky. And 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, and 0.25. This is sheets 10 and 9 and 10. So we'll start with 9. 3, 2, 1. I'll slide back in. Okay, I'm back. So what did we learn? I think, for me, what we learned was, number one, that was a shit scene to present this process with. Really bright sky, really bright reflection off the water, and a relatively dark castle in the middle, and I was kind of asking it to try and get that right, and lo and behold it didn't. However, so this is the high contrast one, which is not a bad image, you know. It's nice enough, but where you can really see the contrast is down here, and we're literally just like, it's black and it's white and there's nothing else. And then we've got the one with the yellow filter, and let's just put those side by side and look. Obviously the exposure on the castle itself is very different, but just look at the difference in the water and the greys that we're getting. Whereas we weren't getting greys before. In fact, I don't think I've shown you the best one. There we go. That's probably the best example here. Just look at the difference in those two. I think it's a huge difference. So if you've got the time to sit for, I mean, it's an extraordinary extension of the exposure that you need to give it. But if you've got the time, you know, portraits would be tricky with this kind of setup for sure. But all in all though, I do feel like we've made good progress here. I feel like I'm starting to establish exactly what it is going to take. I think as long as you're happy with high contrast images, then you can rate the paper at just below ISO 2. That seems to be working for me. I think that if you want less contrast using yellow filter, I can't tell you why, but adding at least 4 stops is the order of the day. But I haven't yet got an image that I'm happy with, so I'm going to give it one more try. So this is shoot number 6. Let's see if this one works. Right then, we're out again to attempt to put everything we've learned into practice and get a decent shot. Because let's face it, the shots we just got over in Chepstow, the castle, they were a bit crap, really. They were asking this process to do things it can't do. So, I've come out this morning, UK, British weather. What a difference a day makes, every fucking day. This is what we got today. Overcast, raining, cold. I've been out walking. I couldn't tell you where I am. Somewhere in Gloucestershire, and this is a nice little sort of path here. It sort of wends its way down that way. We'll probably frame somewhere like that. I really would like to finish this video on a photo that I can hold up and say, there you go. That's how it's supposed to work. Here it comes, 3. We're going to go 2.5 this first one. So 1, 2.5, 8 and a bit. Okay, there we go. Good. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 44, 45. Here it comes. Go. There we go. Right then, I believe it is time to attempt some self-portraits. All right, let's head back and see what we got. See if I can finally post this video. Fingers crossed, eh? Come on, let's have this one work for me. As you would expect, I went out to try and complete this video and made a total pig's ear of it. I was doing my metering and my calculations, and I actually managed to get confused in my brain. I was doing ISO 1 light meter readings because I've only got 1 and 3 on that Ravenni Labs spot meter. And I was then doubling it instead of halving it and then doing my 4 stops addition. And I actually managed to overexpose stuff, which is quite exciting. How about that? The good news is, I mean, look at the greys in there, look at the tones. It shows real promise. That is overexposed, or rather it's overexposed in the center, but really promising. And the thing that I'm most excited about is this one. It looks really dark on the screen there, but when I put it on a copy stand, it shows real promise. And it wasn't too painful to stand for that kind of shutter duration. So we've learned a lot. I feel like I'm making really good progress with this technique. I now have a stack of photographs. Look at this. I haven't held a stack of photos like that in my hand since about 1992. I feel like I need to get like a Snappy Snaps envelope to put them in. I think we're making good progress. I am excited for the future of this project. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and do some more portraits. I'm going to start with some self-portraits. I'm going to try creating some self-portraits under more controlled conditions. So potentially using several flash heads to try and create the quantity of light that I might need to create an instantaneous exposure. So I'll do that out in the studio first of all, and then I think we'll head out with a different lens that isn't going to give me that vignetting, my Ravenni Labs remote release, and do some self-portraits like that. And then I think if that all works all right, then let's get some models back in and let's see if we can, really create some magic with this process. Enjoying it though. It is good fun. I would recommend it. But that is it for today. Next up on the channel, we've got loads of stuff coming up. We're going to be taking the negatives from the 2 lomography films that I've recently reviewed. We're going to take those out to the darkroom, do some printing with them. We've got flash with film. I'm going to be doing some tests, trying to get my flash photography back up to where it was with digital. I've taken the flashes out and tried doing some flash photography using film cameras with pretty poor results. So I'm going to spend some time getting my head around that and getting myself back up to speed with it. I was doing some cracking work on digital before I kind of abandoned all the digital cameras. So I want to get myself back up to the same standard. So we're going to be doing some portraits with flash. That is coming up. GX680, Mamiya RB67. There's loads of exciting videos in our future. So if you're not currently subscribed, please do subscribe. Oh, kit reviews. I've got some kit reviews coming up. I've been on the hunt for a new new bag for my large format photography. So when I go out shooting large format, I need a bag that is going to carry everything that I need to carry and be convenient to lug around with me when I'm hiking around with that 4x5 camera. So loads of stuff coming up, but that's it for today.